Hi, this is Will Gray. The reason I'm making this video today is because one of my viewers asked me my opinions and thoughts on God. Now I've been trying to hold off on making this video for two reasons. The first one is that something as simple and rudimentary as human language is not the best medium to try to explain something so immaculate as God. 2. This is a dangerous subject. More people have died in the name of God than anything else ever, and explaining your differences of opinions is a good way to get yourself in trouble. So, this is my disclaimer. I am not trying to convince anybody to change their opinion. I'm not telling you your opinion is wrong. I'm not saying my opinion is right. All I'm saying is it is my opinion. This is what I feel and I think. If you would like to comment, by all means do so. If you find that your comments are those of hatred and anger, you should look at that carefully. With any sort of respect and love and understanding, or just the want to have a theological conversation, and you know who I'm talking about, by all means, video comment. We'll have a conversation. Make little text comments. I'm open. Enjoy. Love what you do. And then I went into this life. When I was brought into this life, the first thing that happened was a veil was brought over my third eye. I was no longer aware of who I have been since the beginning of time. And I had to start over with a clean slate, as we all do when we were born into this world. At that moment, I had to make a decision based off of a single question that all sentient beings have when there is nothing else. What am I? Who am I? And ever since that moment began, I've been telling myself a story. Oh, well, I'm Will. This is who I am. I grew up during this time. I was told my name, and I was told to learn these things, and I was told that this is how it is. And the beginning of self was made. Self is the person who you've told yourself you are since the beginning of this life. Going all the way up that line, say 9th, 10th level being, came across that same question. Well, what and who am I? And as it looked in on itself to understand this answer, it created an answer within itself. This version of itself to understand itself so that it can see itself from a third-person point of view. Because when you're in a first-person point of view, you're kind of biased, and it's kind of hard to see what's going on other than your own point of view. But if you want to see from an outside point of view of what's going on, you have to have a third-person point of view. So, this entity did exactly that. It made a third-person point of view. And it still itself, it just multiplied it, it divided itself into every possible point of view that it can have. Each one of these points of view, this camera angle, looking in on itself, all of the camera angles feed back to the same source. It's all the same mainframe, just different camera angles, are each of our individual beings, our souls, are who we truly are. This entity traveled the worlds, universe, for it creating that much energy all at once to see every different point of view, and the physical representation of that happening at the same time would have made a pretty big bang. And the entire universe was created. As you see, a way of looking at it would be that the physical universe, everything in it, walls, glass, rock, paper, even the stuff that we make, is the physical representation of the physical matter of being that we would call God, trademark. There's some universal laws that go all the way through the physical world, such as atoms look a lot like solar systems. And they work just like atoms to molecules, and our planets, our atoms, to the solar system molecule, to the galaxy cell of a larger thing. Do you think that someone floating around on one of our atoms can tell us what we are? Not really. So it's just too vast and big to imagine. But that's the physicality of it. And a lot of religions have taken this concept in some form or another and changed it around here and there. For example, many of the paganistic or Druidic belief systems talk about how the physical world, the nature, is God. The physical, the trees and rocks and the earth around us. It's true. Now, how about the mind? Well, if you take every viewpoint kind of as a collective viewpoint, you would have a basic understanding of how it works. Now, what I mean by this is each individual soul is a piece of God. The same way that each one of my fingers is a part of me. Alright? If you chop off this finger, I'm still me. Okay? That doesn't change. Okay? They are a piece of me. Now, if each one of my fingertips had an eyeball on it, each individual eyeball would think that it was an individual piece seeing something from its individual point. But all of it comes to my mind. I have a right eye and a left eye, but I see it as one image in what scientists call the observer. Alright, the very thing that turns particles into waves and waves into particles depending on whether or not it's looking at it. Alright, the observer is the same in all of us. The I in me is the I in you. We're just two different camera angles of the same thing. This is how we are all one. Alright, and how we are all one with this universe, this physical place that we're being in, and also a spiritual place. You see, the same way that sound, alright, if you take that sound vibration and you keep bringing up the octaves and keep bringing up the speed of it, faster and faster and faster, you'll finally get into light, alright, which is just a higher frequency of vibration. Okay? In the same respect, the physical world is just a very slow vibrating part of the energy that is the universe. We're just in a physical pocket of it. And so when our energies, our souls, our spirits, our whatever you want to call it, come to this place, we slow down in vibration. Now imagine the idea, you have an antenna that picks up certain frequencies, and then all of a sudden half of the little antenna parts get broken off. All your higher functions are gone. That's why the veil is there. We can't perceive ourselves as being one with everybody else anymore, because we've slowed ourselves down to this individual basis, this self.